Huntress, Jessica Jones, and I'm ready to take y'all on a mysterious journey right now. Hey, we welcome you to Off the Trails right here on the Spaced Out Radio's YouTube channel. If you guys have not hit subscribe yet, please do. We would love to have y'all. Shout out to Bumblefoot for that awesome intro music. We always appreciate that. And you guys, please follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. You guys can find me at thecryptidhuntress.com, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress. And I have a daytime show there every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and a nighttime show at 8 p.m. Eastern every Thursday. So y'all be sure to be there. Subscribe, like, share those videos out. And come in and hang out with me in the chat if you can, okay? Visit my shop, War Woman Goods, and please become a member of my Patreon. I would love to have you guys there. It would make my day, and I appreciate everybody who is a member of my Patreon. All right, I have a fantastic guest here tonight. I have Nick Valente here in the studio with me. Don't forget that right after this show tonight, After Hours has a really great program set up for you guys. Okay, so let's get to our guest. Nick Valente is the head of the International Dogman Project, the IDP. The IDP is a no-kill organization. Their goal is to gather as much information about the creature phenomenon known as Dogman. This is done through online research, book research, and interviews of people who have had an encounter through the boots on the ground field investigation of current Dogman sightings, and by opening cold cases and visiting those areas. Their goal is to unite researchers and investigators in one common goal, and that is to organize, network, research, and report. Nick is a Fortean researcher, a boots-on-the-ground researcher, and I appreciate him for that. He's got some great stories. He's been doing some serious investigating lately with his team, and we're going to hear about that tonight. So I'm about to bring Nick up, and I forgot to tell you guys to please meet us in Las Vegas, Nevada. That is really important. Spaced Out Radio, we're having a fan party May the 19th through the 21st. I want all you guys to come and join us, please. It's going to be awesome. If you guys want VIP tickets to that, please send an email to info@spacedoutradioshow.com so that we can get a head count and make sure you guys have a merch bag or a swag bag with plenty of merch in it of the Cryptid Huntress and the rest of the Spaced Out Radio crew. Okay, so come see me. It's going to be amazing. And if you're in Georgia, April the 1st, y'all come see me at the Georgia Bigfoot Conference at the Dillard House in Dillard, Georgia. And also the Journey to Truth Conference is in Grafton, Illinois, May 22nd through the 25th. All right, so enough about me. Let's pull up Mr. Nick Valente tonight, and let's get the show going. All right. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Jessica.
Hey, man, I almost forgot to tell the crowd to come to Spaced Out Radio's fan party in Las Vegas, and that is really important. I would love for you to come join us. Man, we're going to be broadcasting live.
Oh,
and it would be fun. I don't know if you're free in May, but
I got to see.
Think about it. Yeah,
See if I
think
can
about
take
it.
a little vacation time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Nick, what have you been up to lately? I haven't seen you in about a month, I think.
Is that all?
It's about a month.
I got to tell you, in the beginning of the year, the calls are coming in for Northeast United States, and just the last month or so, it's gotten down to Central East, and Southeast. And just to back up a little bit, what I've been doing is I don't know if the people know, I have broken away from the NADP and went with a organization that I had put into being about 2.5 years ago, the IDP, the International Dogman Project. And I now run the International Dogman Project USA. Oh, I also have the one that I started originally, the one IDP Nordic countries. So due to philosophical differences, we broke away from the NADP, and most of my members did go with me on that. But getting back to what's going on out there, I generally get about 20 to 25 calls per week on sightings and encounters of Dogman. And
Dogman. That's a lot. That's a lot of contact.
That is.
25
but
a week is a lot.
Well, it's kind of jumped up now. It's jumped up to closer to 35 to 37 a week. I'm keeping a tally, and the average is about 35. Just this past week, it was up to 37 because I received a one report from Louisiana, the home of the Rougarou, who also looks like a dog man.
A werewolf thing.
And from Florida, I've got over a dozen reports. I mean, we're talking Florida. We're Western Florida now is what we're talking about. One that I did act on in late February, early March was another group of sightings out of North Carolina. Now, as I told you last time, we did have a sighting in January that I took a full team up to, and it turned out to be an extraordinary large black bear with a really unusual snout. I mean, it was a very large snout, and people mistook this large black bear for a dog man. But, in all reality, I did see him, straight on. And at first I thought it was a dog man, but no, once he showed himself and, stepped forward, it was definitely a bear. And like I said, my whole deal is to prove or to disprove. And in this case, I had to disprove. Hey, sugar britches.
Well, that's good that you were able to decide that and discern that was a bear. I can't imagine. Very dangerous, nonetheless. Bears and dogmen.
Extremely dangerous. Well, like I told you last time, he came out of the bushes and took about 3 steps towards us, growled in a very aggressive way.
Okay.
And hi, Nate. And we hit him with 2 canisters of bear spray, and he took off. But he was definitely a bear. I mean, I study zoology, and I concentrate on wolves, lions, mountain lions, and coyote, and bear especially. And when he came out, he looked like a bear, like a black bear, except a very large black bear. And we did speak with the forest ranger in the area, and he confirmed that even though this guy was about a 700-pounder, 6'5", he goes, that wasn't the biggest black bear they've ever had in the area. They had one like 6'9", 880 pounds that they had to kill. But this was back in the late 90s. This guy we shot with the pepper spray, he dropped down on all 4s and took off. So that was one.
Was it aggressive, or were you guys just taking precaution?
No. We were aiming rifles at him, and when he came out of the brush, the way he growled at us, it was very aggressive, very aggressive. And I told the guys, all right, light him up, and they lit him up with the bear spray. And I'm telling you, that stuff really works well. At least this time it did. This time it did. Okay. He dropped all 4s and took off. And like I said, we spoke to the forest rangers over there, and they confirmed that they've seen him once in a while, but not that much. And something I want the people to know is, you got to really, go to zoos so you know what animals do look like for real.
That's right.
So you don't think that they're cryptids. And also, if you're in a certain state, you have to know, and by state, I mean a state in the United States, you have to know certain things about how the habitat of the bears and how they act. And in North Carolina, they don't hibernate. And that's something we found out. And all year long, they're active in North Carolina. That's the black bear.
Why is that? Is it because it doesn't get as cold as the northern states?
You know what? They're lucky if, even in northern North Carolina, they're lucky if they get an inch of snow during the year. I mean, the people in North Carolina panic, if it snows over there, really. Half-inch of snow, they close the schools down. They shut, all the public works down, and they don't know what to do. I mean, seriously.
It sounds like Georgia. I mean, we're fighting over milk and bread down here if we get a snowflake. And the kids are out of school for a full week. It's ridiculous. Yes.
Well, it's funny. But anyway, like I say, we went down here in January. We proved that it was not a dog man. Then I started getting more emails to my Facebook, account, a couple of emails to my personal account. I spoke to several people in North Carolina once again, a different place now, about a good 150 miles away from the original one. I'm about to write up the report on it, and I want to get everyone's okay that I can write it up a certain way. Some people just told me flat out they didn't want to be identified. They didn't want anything about them. So I'm going to write it up in the International Dogman Project USA, and I'll probably post it to some of the other sections. We have IDP Southwest, IDP Southeast, Central. I'll probably post it in those also. But we went back on Tuesday, February 28th, because 4 of the calls were really, they actually hit my heart, because the people said, look, we have kids that go on their bicycles through this area. We would love you to come up here and check this out and see what you can do. And I guess a couple of the kids get picked up by buses right where this was seen.
Oh my.
I spoke out of the 4 major people I spoke with. 2 of them I talked to on camera, and I like to look at the people in the eyes when I'm talking to them and find out what's going on. What happened was all 4 of the witnesses, I'll call them witnesses, saw a dogman, a wolf-like creature about 7+ feet tall, dark hair, snout like a wolf, ears on top, cross on 2 legs, cross a roadway. Wow. And 2 of the people I spoke with right in front of their cars. They stopped their cars maybe 50 feet away, and they're looking. And one guy actually had a camera next to him, and he picked it up and he zoomed in on it, and this thing moved right across the roadway, and he was able to see that it did have a wolf-like face, and he did say it was on 2 feet. Now, the other 2 witnesses that I spoke with, they also said it traveled on 2 feet. East to west were 3 of the people, west to east. And it looked like it was some sort of a field at one point. So I guess in the summertime, they grow vegetables there or whatever. But so anyway, I wasn't able to take a full team there. I love to go with a 7-man team. I took what we call an expeditionary team. It's 4 of us. And we traveled there. And when we got there Tuesday night, I broke us up into 2 pairs, and we got right out there because we didn't want to waste any time. We were only going to be there a few days. And we got out there at nighttime. We had our infrared lights on. I don't like to use infrared, but we were looking for tracks. And we really didn't find too much except for some scratch marks on a tree, and you really need it for the daytime to really look at it to determine if it's a bear or if it is a dogman, in fact. We went back the next morning. We broke up into pairs again. My A team was off eastwards. We were off in the western section of this area. And like I said, I'll put out the name of the area. I'll put a Google map up for people to see in the IDP, but I just got to get everybody's okay first, that I could put certain information out there. In any case, we had 2 teams. This way we can cover more ground. The A team was out there looking around for a little bit over an hour and a half. Must have been about 8:30 in the morning when they get a sighting. Now, these guys are former Tier 1 military operators. They don't fool around. They don't mess around, and they wouldn't joke around with me. They called me over the radio. We ran from where we were. We were about a good half a mile away. We ran to them where they were, and they did get a sighting. Okay. They got a sighting of what to them and what from they know from me and the pictures I've shown them is a dogman. So in this section of North Carolina, at least my team confirmed it. They had a dogman sighting, and it ran straight across the road about 100 feet up from where the first and third witnesses actually saw, their sighting.
Oh, confirmation. Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're running over there. We ran that half mile over to them, and by that time everything was gone. But we did get to a tree where we saw some claw marks, and it was definitely not a black bear claw mark. A black bear claw mark, as people should know, that a black bear's paw is smaller than a brown bear's paw, and they don't have brown bear in that area. Okay, and a dogman's slash mark on a tree would be wide. All right, a regular black bear, it's like together. They don't flare out. That's what we found. We found flared out slash marks on the tree, and it went up several feet. We didn't find any footprints in that area. And like I said, we got there on Tuesday. This was Wednesday morning around 8:30. And we just were in the area for the rest of the day trying to locate it, trying to track them, and nothing. We went back that night after dinner. We're looking around again. We went back out the next morning on Thursday. Thursday morning, we split up again. I took the western section. They took the eastern section. It's about 3 hours into the search. We're going to meet up after 4 hours being out there. I get a radio call again. I mean, damned if I'm not unlucky. They get another sighting. It's the same direction. It was going east to west. It was actually traveling in the section that we were. But once again, we were like, see, Jessica, when we go into a forest area, we don't just stay, within the first 100 yards or so. We go a mile, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 miles in, depending on, where the sightings were or what encounters are. And we were about this time a little bit closer to a mile away when we got the radio call. And what we did was we fanned out 36 feet away from each other, my partner and I, as we were going towards them, hoping that we're going to see something. And we didn't see anything. But they got a second sighting. 2 days in a row, they got a second sighting. So it was like, this is exciting. Actually, it's really exciting to see.
Well, it's got to be the confirmation that you needed right there.
Yeah, and two guys I trust with my life, actually. And it's like, wow, the witnesses were telling me the right thing. And from what my two guys saw, I mean, this cryptid was traveling at a high rate of speed. I would say from what they were telling me, he was doing about a good 30 miles an hour. And this is on two legs, bipedal. And it looked like a wolf, and it was gigantic, and everybody's like, we're really glad that we had our firearms on us. Not that we're hunting anything, but if this thing came at us, we were running with our bear spray in our hands, because you got to slow this thing down if it's coming at you.
You need something to protect yourself. I mean, something or whatever.
Anything, and once again, this was during the daytime. This is during the daytime when they're supposed to be, chilling out. They're supposed to be sleeping in the daytime. Generally, reports that I get, dogman hunts at night, but nope, this was the daytime.
I've been hearing opposite almost lately from a lot of stories that are coming in, a lot of people telling their stories. Mm-hmm. It's in the broad daylight. And Nick, I had a really interesting story that Mike was talking about from Abnormal Investigations. He was on the show last week. And he was talking about seeing a pack of coyotes, basically, that looked like normal coyotes. And they stood up on their hind legs and started walking, like all of them. And they were quite small. They weren't like the typical big werewolf-looking dogman that we imagine and people have described seeing. But yeah, it's really odd. I mean, apparently there's all sorts of different types of dogmen.
Did he describe it? Did he say they were like 3 feet high or?
Yeah, he said they were like 2 feet tall or 2 to 3 when they were on their all fours. And then they just stood up and just started walking like it was normal.
I wonder if these are juveniles.
I don't know. One of them climbed a tree even. So it's really odd, right?
Mm-hmm. I'll have to agree with you though, because a lot of the reports I'm getting in, their reports are during the daytime. Mm-hmm. A lot of times in the past, my reports were people are traveling down a roadway. There's cornfields on left and the right, and they've got their high beams on, and they see this large creature that looks like a wolf going across the roadway, either just walking across or dashing across. That was in the past. Now you're right. I'm getting much more of the daytime reports than nighttime reports.
Huh. wonder why that is. And Nick, I wonder why it is that there's so many more reports rolling in all the time. Is it because people are more aware and are on the lookout, or has the veil thinned, as they say, or is it just because people want to see them and they're mistaking regular animals like bears and dogs for
Well,
dogmen? What do you think?
I've seen bear on two legs, brown bear, grizzly, and black bear, and they walk a certain way, a specific way, and they don't run on two legs. When they want to run, they drop down on all fours. So it's kind of hard, and once again, that's why people need to go to the zoo and look at animals and see, because this way they'll be able to discern, a dog man or a Sasquatch from a bear. I mean, you've got brown bear, grizzly bear that are 8 feet tall. I mean, they're big. They're absolutely big. So, I can't answer for those people. That's why I need to interview people, and I ask them certain questions. This way I can, figure out what did they really see. Because I'll be honest with you, Jessica, a lot of the calls I get, I have to discount them, because in my mind, when I question them, it's more like what you said. It's more like a bear.
Okay.
I don't have him anymore because he passed away, but my Roddy would sometimes go up on two legs himself, and walk on that. I've seen on YouTube dogs
Without holding anything, he would just get on two legs.
Anything. Yeah, he doesn't walk a lot, but he just tiptoed,
Yeah.
and because I would go like this a lot of times, and that means jump up, and he'd have the paws on my shoulders, and I'd hold him out like that, so and then let him go, and he'd like balance a little bit. So I don't know, maybe he just picked up a trick or two. But I've seen on YouTube where people have dogs that actually walk on their hind legs.
I've heard that too.
Come in. Yeah. But anyway, to finish this up, we were there Tuesday night, nothing. Wednesday during the day, Thursday during the day, Friday, nothing. Saturday morning, we looked around again, and we were looking for footprints because I wanted to make some casts, and we were unable to find anything solid. We left Saturday and went back home. But I have to say, I mean, I still have to write the report up, getting all the notes together and everything, but I believe my two guys. They're part of my team, and this is what we do. They were the guys I traveled with, the three I traveled with, were also part of the team that I went down there in January with. We discounted that, and this time around they actually saw it. Unfortunately, I was in the West End and they were in the East End, and they got to see it. I mean, it would have been the would have been the fourth time that I would have been able to see something. That I would have been able to see a dog man. It would have been great.
Wow. You seem to have an elite team of tactical researchers, Nick. Am I right?
I draw these fellows when it's serious. I draw these fellows from my work, and they're all former military, and they're all former Tier 1 guys. If you're going to go out in the woods, and you're going to go out 6, 7, 10 miles into the woods, you need people that are used to being out in the woods, because you may not come back home that night. You may just camp out there. And when we do camp out in the woods, we take all the precautions. We set a guard out. We actually leave two guys out, and we rotate shifts. Two, not one, two. We pitch the tents for sleep. They come in, they wake up their relief. They go back out, and so on and so forth. We also set out perimeter alarms that are about 146 decibels with tripwires.
Wow.
We set them at two levels. I set them at 6 inches and 13 inches, and we layer it because look, I don't know what's going to come out there. I mean, a brown bear coming out in some of the places we're at, that's dangerous. And Jessica, we were also I had teams out in Oklahoma and Iowa. And when they were in Oklahoma, what we had happen was we had, I guess you would call them wild boar.
Wild
And
hogs.
I mean, wild hogs are
Wild hogs.
yeah, we're having a bad time of wild hogs down
Those
in
are
Texas right
dangerous.
now.
Super
And
dangerous.
yeah, and
They taste
Arkansas the
good.
same way. We had a team in Arkansas. We had hogs come at us. We fired a few shots at them and they ran off. And the ranger out there said you should have shot them and dead, and just reported where they were. We would have picked them up. He goes, because we're having a problem. So therefore perimeter alarms are a necessity. If I may depart from Dogman for 1 second, something I want to tell people, when you do go out into the wooded areas, I want to remind you of a couple of things that might just save your life. And I don't mean, bumping into a cryptid. Number one, tick season. When we go out there, we have a special natural type of anti-insect spray that we spray on us. And D.A. Roberts can testify to this because we were in LBO. We got attacked by a zillion insects. I sprayed this on us and they went away. This stuff works. When you go out there, folks, you really got to take care and be careful when you're out there. Ticks can really take your life.
They can give you Lyme disease and they hurt.
Well, there's another disease that they carry, and I'll be honest with you, I can't pronounce it, so I'm not going to try. I believe it starts with a B, and it's life-threatening. So
I used to get ticks all the time when I was a kid. I lived on a farm, and we'd go outside and play, and my mom would have to check us for ticks.
Yeah,
when we came in.
But number one, insect control. Spray on you.
I'm immune to tick bites at this point, I think, because I had so many when I was a kid.
Trying to get them off, that's bad. But they're out
take
there.
Some tweezers and
Sometimes they don't want to come out, and they leave their little heads in there.
That's right. That's why you need a
match. Whatever. You got to get that out. But another tip would be to wear gloves. Mechanics wear makes a really good glove. But wear gloves, because if you get hurt or injured and you got to drag yourself someplace, you don't want to have to be worrying about your fingers. And, take plenty of water, something to eat, and lights. And if you can afford it, the Garmin Mini Reach 2, that's the newest one that they have out there. You just press a little orange button and they'll send somebody in there after you.
Well, it sends the authorities in to come hunt you down, so you better be serious about it. If you got to be in real, really lost out there or in danger.
But you could also send text messages.
Don't just hit a button like it's an Uber. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no! That's not the reason why you would hit that, because that's serious stuff. That's serious stuff. You only do it if you're injured or if you really need help or you're lost. You're totally lost. So that would just be a couple of things I just wanted to throw out there, because people will just go out there with their cell phones, a little half bottle of water, and get lost after a mile in the woods, and then they're in trouble.
Yeah, we don't want that at all. That's why you always tell somebody where you're going too. Don't go out by yourself.
Oh yeah,
especially if somebody doesn't know where you're going. So
definitely tell people.
It's a protocol, man. You got to have good protocol no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're in our team. My team is very strict, Nick. Like we don't go anywhere alone. We always have somebody at base camp. We all carry our CB radios. We have our Baofungs,
right?
And we never go alone anywhere. I mean, even if it's in the daytime, like we take at least one or two people with us,
right?
Everywhere we're dispatched to. So
that's actually the best thing to do, is not to go alone in the woods. I mean, it's not just the animals that are out there that would get you, the insects, a possible cryptid, a Bigfoot, a dogman, but humans out there, and it's a bad time out there. So you really need to take care. And I would say travel in at least a minimum pack of 3s, and stay together. There's no such thing as, oh, you guys stay here, I'm going to just go over it. No. Go together.
Yeah, definitely run in packs as far as humans go. Absolutely. And be aware of your surroundings at all times, for sure. Yeah. But wow. Well, where else have you been? Are those the only reports you have out of North Carolina? Is that just where the concentration is, and that's why you've been going down there?
We've gotten a bunch of reports out of North Carolina, but those are the best ones out of all the reports I got. And like I said, because bears are, all around every season in North Carolina, a lot of those reports that I got to me, after I interviewed the people, it was bears. Now, we got a couple other interesting reports. One out of Louisiana, and gosh, over a dozen or so out of Florida. And I'm talking about Western Florida. And these are Dogman reports out in the roadway. And in Louisiana, the state of the Rougarou, I guess Louisiana is right near Florida. So,
It is.
Popping over the borders over there. But I had, like I said, over a dozen reports out of Florida just in the last few weeks. And just last week, the one out of Louisiana. The one in Louisiana would have been an interesting one to go, but I think I maxed out our budget for the next couple of months by going back to North Carolina. In Louisiana, this one was in a graveyard, and I think that would have been really interesting to go to because they're calling it a Rougarou. I mean, this thing is over. The gentleman said when he compared it to the gravestone that it was near, it was on 2 feet. It was well over 6.5 feet tall, which out of a lot of the reports I get, they're usually 7 feet. But this was about 6.5 feet tall because he measured it up against a gravestone. And I don't know if you've ever been to Louisiana, Jessica.
I have.
Okay, but in the I've been there several times, and their graveyards have some really souped up gravestones. I mean, things you want to actually. I don't want to get, black-hearted about it, but you really want to take pictures of some of these things. They're works of art, and they're large. They're really large, and they have a lot of above-ground crypts over there. And I guess one reason they have the above-ground crypt is because their sea level.
Flooding, yeah.
And the flooding, and you don't want the bodies to, come up. Even if you bury them, 6 feet deep, erosion sooner or later, and then people's graves are desecrated by the sea, no less. But he measured this one to be approximately, 6'5", 6'6". It stood there for, quite a while, and he's just staring at this thing. And when it growled, he just said he just backed away. He kept his eyes on it, kept backing away and backing away. And he knew the plot where it was at in an exact area. So in the future, if we get a chance to go down there, we'll check out the gravestone it was leaning up against because he gave me the name of it. He went back the next morning. He saw it about 6 o'clock at night, and it was still a little bit of light out. So he was able to discern the name on the gravestone. That's the one in Louisiana. He says this was like the scariest thing he's ever seen. And he said it was huge and looked extremely muscular. Wolf-like features. I need to speak with him again to see which variant it was. I'm thinking it was a variant one from what he told me, but I need to get the full story on it. But it was extremely interesting. He went back that morning, but he didn't go back alone. He went back with several other guys, and they brought weapons with them because he was afraid it might still be around.
Yeah. Nick, I have, there's Chairman Meow Saytung in the chat. I agree with them. It says the Dogman in graveyards seems to happen a lot, and it does. I get a lot of reports of Dogmen in graveyards and hearing about them around Indian burial mounds, any kind of like graveyards or burial sites. There's Dogmen there. Now, does that have some sort of tie to Anubis? Okay, the Egyptian god. I mean, he was the god of the underworld, and had to do with death and dying and burial rites and things like that. I wonder if there's a connection there. Have you ever thought of that?
Well, I have to say, I mean, we're talking about a place thousands and thousands of miles away from us.
Yeah,
but at one point, the continents were together. So it's a direct possibility. It's a distinct possibility, actually, that it could be a connection with the Anubis. Remember, the Anubis was a jackal-headed, but maybe that's how they represented the wolves at the time. Who knows? I couldn't say that, but I do know in Native American history that the Dogman was seen around most of their burial grounds. There's a lot of reports going back in the 1700s and 1800s where they've seen Dogman in Native American burial grounds. they're supposedly the protectors of the Native American burial grounds. So it's quite possible, because there's the Anubis. You know, they had to get it from somewhere. Had to get it from somewhere. I know that.
Yeah, I that connection it sits in my mind when I think about Anubis and seeing that video out of Ohio of the alleged dogman digging in the graveyard. Whether that's a real video of a real dogman, I don't know, but it's interesting. Why would anything be digging in a graveyard in the middle of the daytime?
I tried enhancing that film, and I blew it up and used some computer programs to enhance it and clean it up, and it just looked like a regular dog, digging it to me anyway. I mean, I couldn't get too much out of that film, to be honest with you.
It looked like a dog man to me. I swear.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just because my brain, you look at it and that's what you're looking for a dog man, and so that's what you see. But it did look like it was kind of like on its knees and it was digging.
Yeah,
so did. I don't think it didn't look like a dog to me, but I don't know.
No, not at all.
In my head, that was a dog man. Okay, so unless it was a person in a dog costume, but I can't imagine anyone being that sick in the head to go to a graveyard and a cemetery, a modern day cemetery, and start digging.
It's dangerous to dress up like a wolf or a dog like that and do something, because you never know. Somebody might come out there and get scared and,
somebody will shoot you. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I would never. I'm scared to wear a ghillie suit in the woods. Like
that's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, wearing a ghillie suit out there.
Yeah.
And down south, the stones are taller. He's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You just, some people that have guns, and I'm not saying everybody with guns is, guns are guns. Everybody's got them to protect yourselves and whatever. But there's some people out in the woods. There might be like a new hunter, a teenager out there that's like hunting for the first time. And they're going to shoot whatever's moving. Some people do that. I mean,
like you said,
not everybody's sober out there hunting. You know what I mean?
But a new hunter out in the woods, especially a new hunter alone out in the woods, might shoot out of panic at something like that, and then you have a problem. I believe that the hunters are supposed to, if they don't know what it is that they're shooting at, they're not supposed to shoot at it.
Not supposed to.
And no, they're not supposed to. And a lot of people will say, well, we'll yell out to it, and say, hey, what are you doing there? And I don't think most people would do that, because if it's a brown bear or a grizzly, it's going to come at you. Most likely it's going to come at you, and you don't want that to happen. If it's a mountain lion and her cubs are around the area, it might come at you. And hitting a moving target like that is, not easy for most people.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Chris 716. We have a pig man here where I live too. When I was in high school, we used to go on the weekends and go get chased out of the woods by a pig man here. So I actually filmed a video about that when I was in high school for my mass media class. And you wonder where I get it from.
Was he on 2 legs? Or?
Yeah, it was like a man. I mean, we thought it was a man. In my head, it was a man with a pig head.
Was he fat, heavy, or?
I don't know. It could have been a Bigfoot or something. We never actually saw it, but something did chase us out of the woods. Yeah. At an old house, an abandoned house. Yeah.
More than once, or?
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
No, I mean more than one time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We used to, did I go up there more than once? Yes.
And did it chase you out more than once?
Something did. Yeah. And it could have been pigs or something. It could have just been wild hogs, but something chased us. I wasn't so keen. I wasn't trained in tracking back then. I couldn't discern between 4 legs and 2. Okay. It was running after us. I just knew something was chasing us. So yeah, we had a pig man. I mean, it was just a local legend, but I mean, I don't know. I haven't been in my adult years. So. Well,
the dozen or so reports I got out of Florida, a couple of them I wish I did have the means to go down there right now to look at. It's in western section of Florida. And down in Florida, people build cinder block walls around their homes, to keep the alligators out and such. And unfortunately, alligators can climb. I've seen it. They can climb chain link fences. And unless you have a a really high cinder block wall, you might have a problem there, you know? But in any case, a couple of the reports, well, the one report in particular, the lady reported seeing a wolf like creature peering over her 5-foot cinder block wall. And she said it came up to about chest level, not neck level, but chest level, and it was peering over her wall. Well, she screamed, and she happened to have her alarm with her for her house, and she hit her house alarm. And outside on the roof area, she's got these speakers, and the alarm is blaring and scared it off. But I guess she got kind of scared herself seeing this thing peering over her 5-foot wall. I mean, she had a pool back there, and like I said, the wall was over there too. I mean, that was something I would have loved to have gone and checked the area out just to see why it would have been peering over the wall and where it came from.
Yeah, it was probably just it wasn't her neighbor, huh? Well, it's probably her neighbor that she didn't know about, the one that lurks in the woods.
No, the way she described it, she said it was awfully muscular and it was very tall. And if it's a 5-foot wall and it comes up to here, I'm sorry, chest level, I would figure then you have the head and everything. So I'm putting this thing at about 6'7" or something, maybe taller, maybe 7 feet tall. Whatever it is. But the way she described it, the shoulders were extremely broad and muscular. So it's like one of those things where I can't get down there. Darn it. I wish I had a team to send there who was in Florida to go.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, there's too many reports. If you're getting 25 to 35 calls a week and messages, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's recently. I mean, generally, like I said, it used to be, down in the 20s, 20, 25 calls. Now it's up in the 30s. And it was up in northeastern United States. Now we're getting central and southeastern. A lot of calls, a lot of stuff coming out there. I mean, not that we don't get stuff from California or Oregon, New Mexico, Texas, and the like. But there are calls when, after I speak to the people and everything, it doesn't sound like a dog man. A lot of times it sounds more like a Bigfoot. Yeah. I mean, when you're getting a creature, and these people are in a forest area in Oregon, and they're seeing a creature that's like 9 feet tall, it's generally not a dog man. Dog man's in under 8 feet tall range, and some of the stuff that these people are seeing, it just seems to me to be Bigfoot.
Yeah, Bigfoot. So many more Bigfoots out there, I think, than dogmen. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because we've documented them more often, and I think dogmen are a little more sly, perhaps, and they don't like to interact as much. They just like to stare at you or eat
Well,
you.
I like that idea, what you just said. I mean, the documentation of it, and people have been seeing Bigfoot on the West Coast a lot more than we've seen them here on the East Coast. Although, don't discount it, because I had a case that I gave to Jeremiah Fountain, 2 years back, and we thought it was a dog man, and it turned out that it was a Bigfoot. So I gave it over to him because he's with the Sasquatch, organization up in upstate New York. So but I was talking to him about that one in particular a couple of weeks back, and it's like, when you really think about it, it's not some skinny, stringy creature that's 10 foot tall. I mean, the legs are like tree trunks. I mean, to come across something like this, you're gonna be in fear of your life, and if you do come across a dog man that's like 7 foot 5 inches tall, 7'6", I mean, we're talking about a wolf-like creature that's huge. Wow. If you've ever stood next to an NBA basketball player, who was up there in a 6'9", 7 foot range, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Except these things have huge muscular bodies, and it must be terrifying.
Yeah, Nick, I was walking down the street one day. I went to lunch. I worked in downtown Atlanta, and I went to lunch up on Peachtree Street, and I was walking back down to my office, and I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at my phone, or I'm not going to tell you what year it was, but I was looking at my phone or something, and I ran into something that was on the sidewalk, and I crashed into something. It was like a brick wall. that was not normally there. And I looked up, and I had actually walked into Shaquille O'Neal.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not kidding at all. And I said a cuss word, and I was like, "Oh crap, Shaq," And he apologized, like it was his fault, but it was really my fault. And but I just his hands were huge. Like I had never seen hands on a human that big in my entire life. He was gigantic. Yeah, it was like I crashed into a mountain. Yeah.
I mean, the thing with Shaquille O'Neal in his day when he played basketball is that he was so tall and wide and weighed 300 and something pounds. Mm-hmm. Plus he could move. A lot of that's
agile.
Muscle. Yeah, a lot of that's muscle on this guy because he's going back up and down the court. And I mean, you literally did hit into a brick wall. So there's an excellent example.
Yeah. But I mean, like my head was literally like at his belly button, and I'm 5'8" or something like that. So I'm not super short. He was very big. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just goes to show you.
Yeah. So I know what a big human looks like, and I also know what a Bigfoot looks like as well. So they had about the same size feet, probably, him and a Bigfoot.
That's what people got to understand when they're out there looking for Bigfoot prints. A lot of these fellows that are out there that have been doing this for 20, 30 years, they'll find prints that are like 28 inches long, and they would say, well, gee, this is a really large foot. But if you look at some of the NBA basketball players, I mean, their sneakers are just, like pretty large too.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I don't know. I am, yeah. What about Georgia, Nick? I was just thinking, like, do you get any reports of dogmen out of Georgia, where I live? I'm very interested to know.
I've gotten reports, but like I said, I try to contact the people back, and when I do contact them, sometimes the people will not respond back to me. But yes, I've gotten reports out of Georgia, so you do have some dogman reports out there.
I know we've got them here. I know for sure we have them.
A few that I've interviewed over the years, they really didn't pan out. Otherwise, Georgia's kind of close for me, so we would have come down there. But they really didn't pan out too well. But you do have them down there. I know you do. I've got some investigators that are out from that area that are handling the dogman reports, a lot of the ones that we don't get. And I speak to these fellows on a monthly basis. And yeah, down in Georgia, Alabama.
Alabama's got them.
Close to Alabama, so they're out there also. But, they've got other organizations that run teams out there also.
Yeah, and I got to say, Zach, thank you for that comment on there. You're talking to Love You Love. He's mentioning the show that I did this past week. It was on the old Green Eyes at a Chickamauga battlefield here in Georgia, and there had been reports during the Civil War, Nick, of some kind of entity, and it had glowing green eyes, and it would walk out on the battlefield amongst the soldiers. I remote viewed this thing for my show Thursday night, and it looked kind of like a dog man. Okay. It was something, I think I picked up more of it was like a Bigfoot-like creature. So it was kind of like a gugway, perhaps. But this is something that dates back way even before the Civil War. The Native Americans talked about it being an ancient entity or something that was out there. Old Green Eyes. They had another name for it. But it was something that's been on that land for a long time. And if you'll know, that Chickamauga is like it's a very, the history is wild. And there was like 34,000 soldiers killed over a 3-day battle on that battlefield. And they said that if you stack the bodies 19 deep on top of each other, arm to arm, it went for 4 miles. Okay. Yeah, it was rough. So for months they still had dead bodies on the battlefield, and this thing was going in there and eating the dead bodies and the dead body parts. It was seen eating on them and stuff. So I think it could have been a dog man, honestly, but what my data was suggesting, it was more like a gugway or something. But
now, when
what's the difference between that?
The eye color, when you remote viewed it, were you able to see the color?
Yeah, they were glowing. It was eye shine. It was self-illuminating. It's not like they had a light on it. I mean, it was just illuminating like Bigfoot's kind of.
Yeah, you're probably right. It could have been a gugway out there because Dogman reports, at least I've never heard of green eyes, Red
What is
eyes, yes.
green?
Amber, yellow. Green. We haven't. I haven't come across it personally myself, but wow, that
Yeah.
is something.
What is green? Now, Nick, we have a question in the chat. Do you have any experience with the killing of dogmen and how allegedly the feds come to take the body? Or some agency comes in. Have you? Because I've heard that before. Are you familiar with that? Have you heard about it?
Well, first, Chairman Mao, ni hao, and Dojen.
Meow. It's meow like a cat.
No, ni hao, Dojen.
Meow.
He knows what I'm talking about. Um, basically, speaking from experience and background, uh, the feds don't really get involved with that. Not that I know of. No, not at all. That's basically all I can say about it. Is
Well,
no,
what about private contractors?
that would be a different story.
Okay,
I don't
it's
have.
all about the wording here. Okay,
Mhm.
there could be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've heard. I may or may not know some people who might know some people somewhere down the line.
Mhm.
I've heard some stories, but
I know. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that disagree with me, but I'm coming from a different space where I'm saying this, and I disagree with them. Federal government, from far as I know, does not go out there and hunt dogman. They have had, how can I put it, investigations of Sasquatch. They've investigated Bigfoot, Sasquatch out there, but they haven't really been out there hunting dogman per se, as to the best of
okay,
my knowledge and my people that I know.
yeah. I've heard something a little bit different from some
Mhm,
people, but I wasn't there, so I don't know. I
mhm,
can't say for sure all these stories. But the people that tell me a lot of these things about dogmen and contractors going in and being what we like to call it critter control, and these are very credible people who I know, and so I believe that there is some kind of contractors that go out there and do know about these things. I think that our government knows about them and tracks them and all that kind of stuff.
mhm.
But
Oh,
I
we
don't know.
can
Maybe it's
agree to
not our
disagree.
government. Maybe it's somebody. Maybe it's just some agencies or something. I can't really say. I think it's our government, though. Just saying. But that's
I'll
my
agree.
opinion.
I'll agree to
Yeah.
disagree with you, but
Yeah.
that's
That's
my
okay. That's why I love you, Nick.
thing.
We can agree to disagree and still have a good conversation about it.
Hmm.
But yeah. But see, I don't know because I don't work. I'm not a contractor and I don't work for them. So
Hmm.
I just know what I'm told.
Well, I
Yeah.
know a couple other podcasters, two other podcasters in the last month have contacted me about a specific show or a that was out there, and there was a fellow claiming to be, working with the military and the government and the CIA, and but his background was very sketchy. He had no
Okay.
police background, no military background, no training per se in investigation. Yet he says he was out there helping them hunt them down, took down several, this, that, and the other thing. Then he says he was talking to them, physically talking to them, not mind speak, but physically talking with them. And I'm like, I think we're getting out to a different plane here. I totally think the guy's full of himself. So that was
Okay.
what I told them.
I've been hearing a lot about dogmen speaking and actually being able to talk.
Hmm.
Mike, who was on our show with Abnormal Investigations, he grew up with dogmen on his property, uh,
Hmm.
and they kind of terrorized his family and his mom, his grandmother, his aunts and cousins and everybody, and they would actually sometimes say their names. It wasn't a full conversation or something like that, but they'd say their name or hello or something. Uh, it's a little scary.
Yeah. Hi,
It's a
Mom.
lot scary, actually.
Hi, Mom. My name's Wolfgang, and I want some bacon today.
I need
You
bacon.
know,
Well,
how
that's the
about
thing. You don't want to feed them, right? You don't want
no,
to feed
no.
them.
You don't want to
Never.
feed Bigfoot or Dogman, but especially Bigfoot. They get
That's
very,
right.
very, very, very upset. Very
Yes,
upset.
that's right. Let's see. I'm trying to keep up with these comments here. We have almost come to the end of the hour, Nick. This has gone by so fast.
Wow, is it?
This is going
Ooh.
so fast. I've been doing Dave's show over the past couple of nights, and it's like a 3 hour show. So this is like, whew. I
Yeah,
like
you
feel like
got
this has
4
gone
minutes
by in
into
a
the show.
flash.
Wow.
Yes, yeah. Well, in conclusion tonight, I guess we're gonna have to wrap it up because we only have about a minute. What do you got going on, Nick? Do you have any more investigations coming around and coming up?
I've got a few investigations I'm going to be doing in New Jersey, more South Jersey, about 20 miles north of the Pine Barrens, where I've had some dogman sightings down there. That's basically where I'm going to stick to because, like I said, we're out of money for traveling for right now, and I do not like going out there on these field investigations with less than a full team of 7. Last time I did go with 4, but going down to Pine Barrens, you never know what you're going to find down there. I mean, there's everything and anything down there. The Pine Barrens is like the country of Australia. Everything wants to kill you, and I mean, seriously. If you look in my Quad Coalition of Sciences, I posted this one thing from Australia. Hi, Aussie Sue. And
Thank you,
it's
Sue.
a little animal on top of a guy's pointer finger, and it's got these fangs, and it says everything in Australia wants to kill you, including this little guy, but he can't because he's too small. But that's what it's like out there. You've got poisonous spiders. They found a 2-headed snake down in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey.
They happen. I've seen a mounted 2-headed snake before.
Yeah, they're freaks of nature. But when you're walking around and you see a 2-headed snake, you're like, oh my God, what's next? You got all kinds of poisonous spiders out there. The forest rangers out in the Pine Barrens have reported seeing dogman over the decades. So I mean, you've got everything and anything out there, and that's what we're working on right now.
And don't be gifting dogman, y'all. Don't feed them. Don't gift them. Please don't. It's bad news. Thank you, Love You Love. That's a great point. Don't be gifting these things. I mean, even if they're nice to you, okay, don't gift them.
How you doing, Steve?
Because you're asking for trouble. Is all I'm saying. Trouble. Okay.
Yes, you don't need to feed them.
Nick, thank you. Where can people find you? Facebook? Is that where people can locate you?
Facebook is the best place to find me. I have an account, a Facebook account. Also, International Dogman Project USA. And I'm also an admin on all the other ones throughout the country. We're going to be starting a International Dogman Project Australia. And we also have International Dogman Project Nordic countries, where we post a lot of stuff that goes on out of Europe. And let's see. Yeah. I'm just reading the bottoms over here.
Okay. Yeah, we've got a great chat tonight. I want to thank everybody for being here. This has been so much fun. Doing a longer show now, I really do see how fast my show goes by. Maybe we should try to do a longer show. I don't know.
Oh God,
not tonight, but in the future. You know what I'm saying? This is so much fun. I love this. Nick, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being my guest tonight. Everybody, go please check out the International Dogman Project on Facebook. Become a member of that group. It's really fun. Nick posts a lot of good content on there about cryptids of all sorts, actually. So. And was it the Quad Coalition of
Quad
Cryptids?
Coalition of Sciences is where we do all the cryptids, UFOs, paranormal, and regular zoology.
Okay, awesome.
Post some good pictures up there in regular zoology for people to see. I mean, some of the animals we know about are strange looking too. So
yes.
Anyway, thanks for having me on. I appreciate
Thank you, Nick. Yes, I've run over my time. Have a good night. I will see you soon. I'm going to say goodbye to the chat and everybody watching. All right, thanks, Nick. Okay, y'all, that was awesome. I ran over my time tonight. Don't forget that right after this show, After Hours is going live right now. They have an amazing, incredible journey to take you guys on for the next 3 hours. Next time on Off the Trails, my guest is Jesus Payan Jr. We're going to be talking about forbidden history, and we got a lot of really cool stuff to talk about. That's Gonzo from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. If you guys didn't already know, he's a good friend of mine. I love Jesus. He's awesome. After Hours is next. I will see you guys tomorrow night. Y'all have a good night. Bye.